Hey there, and welcome to You Talk. We highlight stories across Canada, the diverse cultures and communities living here. I got to talk with Elder Dr. David Courchene, an executive producer of Kejic Productions, Erica Daniels. Although this project was the vision of Dr. Courchene, it takes a creative mind taking that vision and visualizing it into a reality. Executive producer of Kejic Productions, Erica Daniels, walks us through her journey into media, telling Indigenous stories and her involvement in the creation of the 7 Sacred Laws vignettes.
Ani buju dari magnituk anamaki makwai kwen Indigenous kaz, niganin mekinaki kwen Indigenous kaz, wabazi do dem pegus donji. My English name is Erica Daniels, and I'm Cree Ojibwe from Peguis First Nation. I am a filmmaker, a producer, director, and writer, and I have a production company called Kejic Productions, and I am the writer or co-writer and director of the 7 Sacred Laws.
Fantastic. So, what got you involved in media? What made you want to become a writer and a filmmaker?
So, well, as a kid, I've always been a really creative child and a storyteller, I guess. I used to always, write my own stories or make up my own little stories. I also remember using like my grandma's camera recorder and like making little films with my little cousins and my friends and stuff. So it's something I was always really passionate about. When I was 16, though, I joined a program called Just TV at the Broadway Neighborhood Center here in Winnipeg, and it was a program created for at-risk youth in the inner city of Winnipeg. And so I joined that program, and that program really changed my life because I found a space where I was able to express myself in a creative way, and I used that medium to really heal from a lot of my own personal struggles. And not only did the program teach me about multimedia, through the program I learned video production, audio production, and storytelling, and all areas of multimedia. But I also was able to connect with my community through that program, and connect with elders within the community, and that's where I was able to meet Elder Courchene and start attending the Turtle Lodge. And that's when my life really started to take a change, is when I started reconnecting to my culture and to my identity, and building pride in who I was by seeing the true beauty of who we were or who we are today. And that, how the ceremonies that we have and the values that we live by. So yeah, that was kind of the beginning of my journey.
Yeah, that's something we've definitely been seeing in the past couple of years. Influencers on social media kind of reclaiming their culture and history and sharing it and bringing it to light again.
Yeah, for sure. I think using, social media and platforms such as those, and using media is the best way that we're going to be able to reach the young people, because that's where our youth are. Our young people are all over social media. And if we have a message, that's the best way to kind of reach them, especially in this time of a global pandemic. I think young people are looking for that, guidance and even just feeling that spiritual connection through a time like this is so important. And so that's why we're really excited about sharing the 7 Sacred Laws series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was speaking with Elder Dave earlier, and he was just saying he and other elders are really into the idea of using new media as a means of, bringing back a culture that was on the verge of extinction.
Yeah, for a long time, it's recent that, we were actually outlawed of practicing our cultures and attending ceremonies. So, it's the fact that, we have to take advantage of being able to, reach out to our elders and learn about the ceremonies, the songs, and the languages, because for me, that was my healing. That was how I healed from my past. And I know that that's going to be like a way for other young Indigenous people to also reconnect to who they are, but also heal from any sort of traumas that they've been dealing with, because again, just in the times that we're in right now, especially this week, it's been very hard for our community, and the grief that we're feeling, and the discovery of those 250 bodies of young children in the Kamloops residential school. And that's only the beginning of the findings. But right now we're in a time of grieving, and looking for something, looking for hope, and looking for hope. And so I really feel like the seven sacred laws is something, like the timing of it, the releasing of it. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's meant to be like shared in this time for people to look to, in remembering of where they come from and who they are as Indigenous people, but also a time to learn about, like, for non-Indigenous people, to educate themselves about who Indigenous people truly are, and the histories and the hardships that we have to go through, but also the beauty of who we are. And I think the seven sacred laws really shares that of who we are and what our values are. But they're also universal laws for all people. So that's what we really hope, is that the message will be unity with the sharings of these vignettes.
So, what was your involvement in this project, and why was the vignette medium chosen to share these seven sacred laws?
So I was the director and also the co-writer. So this was Dave's vision. This was a vision. This is a real story about his own experience with going on a vision quest, and these animals coming to him. And for me, because of my connection to the Turtle Lodge, and learning from Dave over the past 9-10 years, I'm honored that he trusted me in guiding these stories in a good way, and making sure that that they were respected, and that that his story and his vision was honored. So we chose to do vignettes. Each episode is 2 to 3 minutes in length, and I really think that's the best approach, especially when we're gearing it towards a younger audience. Attention spans are very short these days, and so people are looking for content that is quick and to the point. And so we did our best in trying to take all this knowledge and all these teachings, and compress it into 2 to 3 minutes. And that was a challenge, but I think we did a very good job on making sure that they still had the impact, and that the strength of what's being said by these animals. But again, like, having them as vignettes just made the most sense when we were trying to have them online, easy access, and for people to learn quick, and especially our young people. So another thing too is that we really hope that it will start conversations, and that people will be encouraged to seek out Indigenous elders within their own communities, and start asking more questions, and learning about their own creation stories or their own teachings within their communities that they're surrounded by. So it's definitely it's an opportunity to start more conversations about learning about Indigenous people and their history. But also, for non-Indigenous people to learn more about who we are, but also for our Indigenous communities who have been so disconnected because of, colonization, for us to be able to have a beginning point and a starting point to relearn our cultures and our histories.
What advice would you give for new budding First Nations children and youth who are wanting to become kind of the next generation of storytellers in new media?
Young people, I would say, for young people who are interested in being storytellers, whatever way that is, writing your own books, or making your own films, or just being present on social media and sharing your story. Like, it's so important right now, because for so long we've been silenced, and our cultures were taken away from us. And so we're in a point where we're the ones who need to take that back. We need to ensure that we're taking that upon ourselves, to end the cycles of, intergenerational trauma, and, take the knowledge from our elders, because right now, a lot of our elders are they're leaving us, and they're taking that important history and that important knowledge that they carry with them. So, using media is such a great way to be able to capture those teachings and share it in a wider way. And then one part I forgot about that question, but like, just message I would say to them is, every single one of us has an important story to tell, and we're the ones who are going to be able to best tell our own stories. For so long we've had people of, not for so long we had people from outside of our communities coming in to tell our stories, but it's our opportunity now to tell our own stories, because we're the ones with the lived experience. We're the ones with that connection to these stories. So, people need to make space for the next generation of Indigenous filmmakers. We have a lot to say, and I believe that we're on the right track, and there's so many up and coming, inspiring Indigenous filmmakers and storytellers out there. So, I can't wait to see, what our community is going to do.
Mm-hmm. Historically, media has been dominated by that Western perspective, and only in the last kind of couple of years, we've started to see more programming and media focused towards immigrants and newcomers, and the diversity found here in Canada. Do you feel there's a changing in perspective and more interest in terms of First Nations media?
Yeah, like I'm noticing there is a change, but I do believe we still have a long way to go. There is, more advocacy for Indigenous filmmakers, and more, more diversity on film sets that's taking place, which is good to see. But at the same time, we have a long way to go. And I think that what needs to change too is like allowing us the space to tell our stories the way that we want to tell our stories, because we have our own approach of telling our stories. And so, non-Indigenous people who want to work with us, like, collaborate with us, but also give us the space and the opportunity to tell our stories from our own perspectives. Yeah, I do notice that there is more of an interest. Although one thing I dislike is that it's kind of like a niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
A niche is what they're calling it. And I don't like that, because this is our life. This is who we are. And I wish it was more of a content that people were looking to, because I do feel that like Indigenous people, like being the first people of North America, like we have a lot to share, not only with about like our values, but also like our connections that we have to the land, and the teachings that we carry about how to live in this world in a good way and protect the land. Just with thinking of like everything that's happening in the world, I really feel like our people are true leaders, our knowledge keepers, are true leaders. And I wish like the media and, that there was more space for Indigenous people. And then when we talk about the media as well, like I still feel like there needs to be a lot more support. And like just in the way that stories are told, they're not honored the way that they need to be, or they're not portrayed in the way that they need to be. So there is a lot of work that needs to happen, although there is some stuff that's moving forward, but we still have a long way to go.
You mentioned how stories are portrayed in media. What can the media do to more accurately, share these stories, or portray it in a way that our First Nations and Indigenous populations want?
I say like I really wish that there was more Indigenous people like within the media industry, but also like again like allowing us to tell the stories the way that we want to tell them, and not trying to fit their agenda, but allowing us to tell stories in a true way, because media just they don't tell the truth like it needs to be told. And so I feel like a lot of people are still silenced in that way when there's stories that are on that hit the media, that they're still misconstrued, and things that are taken out that are very vital, important parts of the stories that are being shared. So I mean, if we had more representation within these industries, I think that would be a first step. But like, you can bring on more diverse backgrounds, but you need to allow space for them to fully express themselves and share their stories from their own perspective, without someone higher up saying, oh no, it needs to be like this, or it needs to be like this. You need to give us permission. Actually, no, we need to take that, and like, it's not about even taking permission, but we need a platform in order to tell our own stories the way that we want to tell them, without anybody telling us what we can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share, just in terms of this project, or just the work that you're doing in your own kind of career?
Yeah, like for me, being an Indigenous storyteller is, something that I'm very passionate about in sharing our history and sharing the healing that's taking place within our communities and sharing the knowledge of our elders. It's so important right now, especially like that our elders have a voice and that we're listening to them. Also for our young people, so that they have the opportunity to learn from our elders, but also just I'm getting lost here. This is like probably like the sixth interview I did today.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but no, I just like, for me, like this is so important, for the opportunity for our elders to be heard, and just for an opportunity for the young people to also, okay, wait, hold on, I got it. I think also like to see Indigenous stories on large platforms is a way to inspire young people as well, because there's not often where you see Indigenous people on these big networks or big platforms. And when you do, you almost get emotional as an Indigenous person, because you don't see that. You don't see Indigenous people in lead roles in movies. It's only now that we're starting to see like Indigenous people on news networks and stuff like that, and it brings so much pride and happiness to us, because we're finally seeing our people being recognized and celebrated. So having these 7 sacred laws available to young people all across all platforms, I think is really going to inspire them and spark something in them to want to reconnect with who they truly are and learn about their culture, learn about their histories, and build pride in being like and living their true identity.
Yeah, representation is incredibly important. My girlfriend, she's has a Filipino background, and just seeing individuals of like Southeast Asian descent in media, like just seeing that look on her face and how excited she gets. And like for like our youth growing up now, like for myself, like all the heroes in action films, they're all people who look like me. Like, now we need people for our next generation. They need to see people like themselves so they can be inspired.
Exactly. Like for me, like whenever I see Indigenous people, like recently we actually now have 2. Are you in Winnipeg? Yeah. So like there's more hosts on, like CTV's really stepped up in bringing on more Indigenous representation. And then what else? Like even just like in politics, seeing people in parliament and stuff like that. Like I'm a crybaby, so I cry like every single time I see somebody in a leadership role like that and being recognized and celebrated by not only Indigenous people but by all people. It's emotional, because it's growth, and you see that, and like I don't know, it really sparks something in you when you have those role models who are doing those things and paving a way for other young Indigenous people.
If you'd like to watch this series, you can find it in English, French, and Anishinaabe on the Turtle Lodge YouTube channel. If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.